No, it depends on what is the investigation. For example, in Latin America, there were a number of national truth commissions, El Salvador, Guatemala, and others. And then the parliament of these countries voted the law and provided the budget, and then the commission decided on how to use it independently. Within the UN system, there's a whole procedure and a whole bureaucracy, they fund it, and governments contribute to the funds, which are then administered by, for example, in the case of Libya, by the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights.
Final question, please. Final question.
You've received yesterday in the King's speech assurances that no one will be questioning and that all of the votes will be open. You just said now, sir, that you may write in the report that someone hasn't cooperated. How is the mechanism for cooperation? That's the first thing. And the second question is about access for the media. Will we get confirmation day by day? Will you help us? For example, you finish a file, would we access it?
Again, if I may suggest to you, common sense guides this. If we look at this person, something, they will have a different way of answering. Some people are more open, some people are more closed. Some people are more defensive, some people are less defensive. So you may run to a point where you talk to somebody who is very defensive and says, well, I don't want to talk to you anymore. So, it may happen. So you go to the person's superior. And if you don't get satisfaction, you go to the minister. And you say, listen, we are a commission that's appointed by a royal decree. The decree says you have the right to ask. We have somebody who is difficult. Find us somebody who is going to give us the answers. Because the answers we're looking for are objective answers, the questions that we will have is time, date, place, who did what to who, when, where, and how. It's not going to be subjective. It's not going to be what do you think of, the weather or the color of the sky. So because it's not subjective, it's going to be difficult for people to try to conceal the information. But it's quite possible. And so, we will go to the top. Now, one of the things that I hope we can do is to establish confidence with both the people in the opposition as well as the people in government. Because the events that have occurred have created an enormous amount of suspicion between both sides. Nobody trusts the other. Everybody thinks the other has a different purpose. If you talk on the side of the government, it will tell you there are conspiracies and outside forces and this, that, and the other. If you talk to civil society and the demonstrators, they'll tell you, the government is full of tyrants and dictators and terrible people, who are abusing the rights of people. So you need to gain the confidence of both people and to go across that. You have to also realize that if events like those that happened here have a traumatic effect on society and on individuals. I can tell you from my work in Libya that the Libyan society, which is about 5.5 million people, is completely traumatized by what happened. It's a tribal society in which if somebody dies, that person has 200 relatives. It's not, it's not like when I worked in the former Yugoslavia, when maybe somebody died, there are only 3 or 4 relatives. But in Libya, the impact is enormous. Everybody in Libya feels aggrieved. And from the little I know, I have the feeling the same thing is true in Bahrain. It's a small society. Everything feels hurt. Everybody feels hurt. And there's a traumatizing effect on society. And the nature of the trauma increases the levels of anxiety. And so, you know, there needs to be a level of confidence that will be built between us and the staff and the people in order to bring down that level of anxiety. And I think what's most important is to use this experience, as was the case in the many truth commissions, whether they were in South America or in South Africa or others. How do you get society as a whole to look at that experience as a reconciliation mechanism, so that the society can learn from the past and move on towards the future? Yeah, follow. Media, the answer is no. My experience has been that, you know, in order to maintain your credibility, you need to preserve a high level of confidentiality. Our report will be published. It'll be available when it's done. But during the course of the events, you have to remember, we have to protect the privacy of the people. We have to protect the privacy of the people we talk to. We have to make sure that people will not feel that they're threatened. You know, I mean, when I did the investigation in the former Yugoslavia, and I did, you know, the world's first and largest rape investigation, my biggest concern was for the privacy of women. And imagine, you know, you don't go out in the press, well, I just talked to so-and-so and she was raped in this and that place. You need to protect the people that you talk to. And so, unfortunately, it will have to wait till when we are completed, and then, you know, you can grill me as much as you want.
Thank you very much.